everyone. Good evening or good afternoon. Welcome back to Watchdog News. This is Campbell. So this evening, we're going to talk about some global power shifts and some strategic conflicts. So I'm associated with Watchdog Ministries. Introduction here. So the global chessboard. Right now, the world is pivotal, shaped by shifting alliances, rising tensions, and long-standing geopolitical strategies. Nations struggle for influence and dominance from Eastern Europe to South China Sea. This report, compiled through an extensive review of international news sources and strategic analysis, examines the key players, their objectives, and their overarching global trends influencing these conflicts. Drawing insights from primary sources, including the RAND Corporation and their reports on counterinsurgency and cost-imposing strategies on Russia, the Brzezinski's, the Grand Chessboard, even the Mackinders' Heartland theory, and current world events from RT News, AP News, Reuters, the Kyiv Independent, and the Kyiv Post, and other sources. The Watchdog News Report offers a comprehensive look at the state of the world affairs. Our analysis encompasses the geopolitical dynamics, U.S. Russia relations, China's global maneuvers, Middle Eastern conflicts, and the economic forces shaping these developments. The geopolitical analysis, the struggle for Eurasian supremacy, recent event, a Russian drone strike damaged the protective shell of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine, raising international concerns over nuclear safety in the region. Kyiv Independent and the AP News. Recent event. 3 Moldovan nationals have been arrested for alleged connections to the Wagner Group, a Russian paramilitary organization, raising concerns about Russian influence and internal security risk in Eastern Europe. Got that source from News 24/7. Recent events. So we already know that the Russian drone struck and damaged a protective shell of the Chernobyl nuclear plant, raising international concerns over nuclear safety in the region. The Kyiv Independent, AP News. Let's talk about the Heartland theory, right? So the Heartland theory states who rules East Europe commands the Heartland, who rules the Heartland commands. The world island, who rules the world island commands the world. This perspective remains relevant today as significant powers seek to control strategic regions within Eurasia. Let's talk about NATO expansion in Eastern Europe. The U.S. and its allies continue their efforts to contain Russia, reinforcing NATO's presence in Poland and also in the Baltic states. What's Russia's response? Moscow has intensified hybrid warfare tactics, using cyber attacks, propaganda, and military threats to challenge Western influence in Ukraine and also in Moldova. China's position. While not directly involved in European affairs, Beijing supports Russia diplomatically, forging stronger ties against perceived Western encroachment. Here's the strategic analysis. These actions reflect a more significant strategic effort to pressure Russia economically and politically while maintaining European security. However, Russia's resilience, backed by energy partnerships with China and Iran, ensures that tensions will continue to persist. U.S. Russia relations, sanctions, proxy wars, and strategic containment. Reports from the RAND Corporation, they detail various cost-imposing strategies the U.S. can use to overextend Russia. These include economic sanctions, military support for Ukraine, and energy policies designed to reduce Moscow's global influence. Military aid to Ukraine. The U.S. and European nations continue supplying advanced weaponry to Kyiv, complicating Russia's ability to maintain control over occupied territories. Economic sanctions. Western sanctions have targeted Russia's financial sector, but Moscow has adapted by increasing trade with China, India, and Iran. Energy wars. The U.S. is working to reduce Europe's reliance on Russian gas through increased LNG exports and infrastructure projects. Recent event. U.S. officials signal possible reductions in diplomatic staff worldwide as part of a broader strategy to counter Russia's influence. Sources, RT News and the AP News. Here is some strategic analysis. While sanctions have weakened the Russian economy, Moscow has countered with alternative alliances, particularly in energy markets. A prolonged conflict could lead to economic fragmentation, forcing nations to choose between Western and Eastern financial systems. China and the Asia Pacific, Taiwan trade and military posturing. Recent events. The U.S. Navy Admiral warns that China's military drills near Taiwan could cover up a potential attack. Source, Financial Times and AP News. Recent event. China has asserted that it will respond decisively to any form of bullying. It proceeds from other nations, emphasizing its growing assertiveness in global affairs. Source, News 24/7. Brzezinski's The Grand Chessboard. It emphasizes that controlling Eurasia requires balancing powers across the region. It's interesting stuff. China's rising influence directly challenges U.S. global Taiwan tensions. The U.S. and China remain at odds over Taiwan. Beijing's recent military drills suggest preparation for potential escalation. Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. China continues expanding its economic reach, investing in Africa, South America, and Asia to secure critical resources and infrastructure. South China Sea. The U.S. Navy has allied forces continue freedom of navigation, operations countering Chinese expansion in contested waters. Recent event. A U.S. Navy admiral warns that China's military drills near Taiwan could cover up a potential attack. Financial Times and the AP News reported. Here's some strategic analysis. China's long-term strategy is to secure regional dominance while weakening U.S. influence in the Pacific. Economic coercion, military buildup, and diplomatic outreach all position Beijing as the primary power in Asia. Middle East conflicts, the battle for influence. Recent event. Hamas announces the release of 3 Israeli hostages and a continued exchange deal brokered by U.S. and Qatar officials. Reuters News, AP News. Recent event. Iran's ongoing influence in the regional conflicts remains a critical factor shaping Middle Eastern geopolitics, mainly through its support for proxy groups in Syria and also in Yemen. Source, News 24/7. The Middle East remains a geopolitical flashpoint shaped by U.S., Russian, and Iranian interventions. The Israel-Palestinian crisis. The recent hostage exchanges between Hamas and Israel highlight the fragility of ceasefire agreements. U.S. diplomacy remains crucial in brokering long-term peace. Iran's role. Tehran continues backing proxy groups across the region, from Hezbollah in Lebanon to the Houthis in Yemen, challenging U.S. and Israeli interests. Syria's unresolved conflict. Russian and Iranian forces maintain influence in Syria, while the U.S. struggles to support opposition groups without triggering wider regional escalation. Recent event. Hamas announces the release of the 3 Israeli hostages and a continued exchange deal brokered by U.S. and Qatar officials. Reuters and AP News. Iran's regional ambitions and Russia's involvement in Syria make long-term stability difficult. And it means the U.S. must navigate these tensions while ensuring energy security in the Persian Gulf, global energy and economy. The hidden battlefield. Recent event. China blocks U.S. companies, right? PVH, Calvin Klein, is one example. Sources, Financial Times and the Reuters. Recent event, the Greek Prime Minister has voiced support for increased European defense spending, aligning with the EU's wide efforts to strengthen security in response to rising geopolitical tensions. My source, News 24/7. So the economic policies and energy strategies play a crucial role in shaping geopolitical conflicts. Oil and gas markets. Sanctions on Russian oil have led to prices going up, man, big time, benefiting alternative producers like the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. Supply chain disruptions. Ongoing geopolitical instability has disrupted trade routes, particularly in the Red Sea and also in the South China Sea. Let's talk about currency wars. The increasing use of Chinese yuan and global trade challenges the dominance of the U.S. dollar, reshaping financial alliances. Recent event, China blocks U.S. companies. I've already talked about that, right? Calvin Klein was one example. Economic tensions, right? Here's an analysis. The weaponization of economic tools, sanctions, trade restrictions, and currency shifts will define the next phase of geopolitical conflict, influencing global markets and diplomatic relations. Here is my conclusion, right? My conclusion is the road ahead, right? So what is the road ahead? The world is entering a new era of geopolitical realignment as the U.S., Russia, and China maneuver for dominance. Smaller nations are caught in a crossfire. Competing interests, energy security, military posturing, and economic strategies will continue to define global power structures. The Brzezinskis, the Grand Chessboard, and the Mackinder's Heartland theory remain relevant, underscoring Eurasia's enduring importance in world affairs. Meanwhile, U.S. policies guided by strategic analysis from organizations like the RAND reports seek to maintain an upper hand through economic pressure, military alliances, and diplomatic engagements. As Watchdog Ministries and Watchdog News, we remain committed to providing objective, fact-based analysis in an era where misinformation and propaganda shape public perception. The global chessboard is being reset, and the next moves will define the future of international relations. And that's all I have. Thank you all so much for following. I love you all so much. Thank you for the love and support, right? Always stay informed, always stay vigilant, stay watchful, right? I love doing all this research for all of you. It's something that I look forward to each and every day. And thank you all again for giving me this moment to give you objective news and fact-based information. I love you all so much. I'm going to go get off here now. This is Jared Wesley Campbell. It's an early day for me. I'm going to be resting. So this is Watchdog Ministries, Watchdog News. We're signing off, right? Later this evening, I'll be reading from Proverbs chapter 5 as part of the porch reflection we've been doing every night. That's all I have. I love you all so much. Have a very beautiful day. Thank you all again for following. It's Watchdog Ministries, Jared Wesley Campbell. I'm out.